The diamond caught the light differently that evening. I noticed it during our monthly family dinner as I reached for my wine glass. Something was off about the way it sparkled. After 15 years of marriage, you get to know every facet of your wedding ring. I'm Yasmin, and that moment marked the beginning of my transformation. From a measured corporate attorney into someone I never thought I'd become. Another big win this week. Derek's voice carried that familiar mocking tone across the dinner table. My brother-in-law had mastered the art of making achievements sound like failures. Must be nice, pushing papers around while the rest of us create actual value in the world. I forced a smile, twisting the ring on my finger. The weight felt wrong too. Some of us prefer to build careers on solid ground rather than chasing unicorn startups, Derek. Speaking of building things, my husband Robin chimed in, trying to diffuse the tension as always. I just finished a new sculpture commission. The client. Oh, please. Derek cut him off. Spare us another story about your artsy ventures. I'm more interested in Yasmin's latest adventure in document shuffling. He leaned forward, eyes fixed on my hand. Nice ring you've got there, by the way. Really catches the light, doesn't it? The room went quiet. My sister-in-law, Sarah, shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Robin looked confused. But I felt my blood run cold. What did you do? I kept my voice steady, years of courtroom experience kicking in. Derek's smile widened. Remember when you left your ring at the pool last month during our family barbecue? Such a careless mistake for someone so detail-oriented. You didn't. Robin's voice had an edge I'd never heard before. Oh, but I did. Derek pulled something from his pocket. My actual wedding ring. Cubic zirconia is getting really good these days, isn't it? Almost impossible to tell the difference. Well, unless you're as observant as our star attorney here. I stood up slowly, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. Give me my ring, Derek. Come on, it was just a joke. He dangled it between his fingers. I wanted to see how long it would take Little Miss Perfect to notice. 3 weeks. I'm actually impressed. This isn't funny, Sarah whispered, but Derek ignored her. What's the matter, Yasmin? Can't take a little prank? Maybe if you spent less time bragging about your latest corporate takeover and more time paying attention to what's important. I walked around the table, each step measured and deliberate. The ring. Now. With exaggerated ceremony. He placed it in my palm. There you go, counselor. No harm done. I slipped off the fake and replaced it with my real ring, the familiar weight settling back where it belonged. The room remained silent as I returned to my seat. You know what's funny, Derek? I smiled, reaching for my wine glass again. I just remembered something interesting about patent law. Fascinating field, really, especially when it comes to tech startups and their, shall we say, creative interpretations of existing patents. His smile faltered slightly. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing at all. I took a sip of wine. Just making conversation. How's your investment in that new AI company going? The one you won't stop talking about. Thriving, he snapped. We're revolutionizing the industry. Wonderful. I set down my glass. I look forward to seeing how that plays out. The rest of dinner passed in awkward conversation about the weather and local news. Robin squeezed my hand under the table, but I barely registered it. My mind was already racing through case files and legal precedents. Later that night, as Robin and I got ready for bed, he tried to apologize for his brother's behavior. I can't believe he would do something like that. I'll talk to him. Don't. I was already typing on my phone, searching for a specific contact. Some people only learn through consequences. And consequences happen to be my specialty. What are you planning? I looked up from my phone, thinking about the stack of files on my desk, the ones about Derek's precious startup and their questionable patent applications. Justice, I said simply. But first, I need to make a call to an old friend. Derek had always treated my career like a joke, my success like a fluke. He thought swapping my ring was just another way to put me in my place. But he'd forgotten something crucial. I didn't become one of the top corporate attorneys in the city by letting people walk all over me. Tomorrow I would start making calls. And by the time I was done, Derek would learn exactly what a paper-pushing lawyer could do. And the best part, I wouldn't have to break a single law to prove it. I shook Michael's hand and replied, "Actually." Michael's eyes lit up. "I'd love your opinion on something. I've been hearing incredible things about this new AI company Apex Tech. They're about to revolutionize the industry with their processing algorithms." I nearly choked on my wine. "Oh, what have you heard? Their approach to AI processing is groundbreaking. I'm considering a major investment before their launch next week." He pulled out his phone, showing me their investor presentation. "Look at these projections." Robin shot me a warning glance as I examined the slides. "Those are impressive numbers," I managed. "Derek, my brother, is one of their key investors," Robin added proudly. "He's got a real eye for successful ventures." Michael's expression brightened further. "Derek Hopkins. I just had lunch with him yesterday. Brilliant guy. He really understands the tech landscape." I set down my wine glass harder than necessary. Would anyone like to see Robin's new sculpture? But Michael wasn't done. "You know, Derek mentioned you work in corporate law. He says you're very detail-oriented." Something in his tone made me think Derek's actual words had been less complimentary. "I specialize in patent law, actually," I replied, watching Michael's expression carefully. "Particularly in the tech sector." "Oh." A flicker of concern crossed his face. "Have you looked at Apex's patents?" "I'm familiar with their technology." I smiled tightly. "It's certainly innovative." Robin cleared his throat loudly. "The sculpture, it's just in the other room." "Just one more question," Michael turned back to me. "As a patent attorney, what do you think about their claims regarding their processing method? Some people are saying it's similar to existing technology." I felt Robin's eyes on me, silently pleading. This was my chance to warn them, to prevent what was coming. But I remembered Derek's smirk as he dangled my wedding ring. His constant belittlement of my career. "I couldn't comment without reviewing their documentation in detail," I said smoothly. "But I'm sure they've done their due diligence." Later that night, after Michael left with a promise to purchase Robin's sculpture, my husband confronted me in our bedroom. "You could have warned him," Robin said quietly. "You could have prevented him from making a bad investment. Like Derek prevented me from wearing a fake ring for 3 weeks." I snapped, then immediately regretted it at Robin's hurt expression. "This isn't just about Derek anymore," he said. "Michael seems like a good guy. He doesn't deserve to lose money because my brother is an arrogant jerk who never bothers to check the details." I finished for him. I was going to say overconfident. Robin sat on the bed beside me. "Look, I know what Derek did was wrong. But this plan of yours, Yasmin, it's going to hurt more people than just him." My phone buzzed. A text from Quinton Global Systems. "Just received our anonymous tip about the patent violation. Their legal team is reviewing it. It's too late to stop it now." I showed Robin the message. "There's always time to choose a different path," he said softly. "That's what makes us better than Derek." I stared at my wedding ring, the real one, catching the light just as it should. Sometimes the right path isn't the easy one. And sometimes, Robin kissed my forehead before turning out the light. Revenge isn't as satisfying as we think it will be. I lay awake long after Robin fell asleep, thinking about Michael's eager face as he talked about investing. About the other innocent people who might get caught in the crossfire of my vendetta against Derek. For the first time since this began, I wondered if I was becoming exactly what Derek had always accused me of being, someone who cared more about being right than doing right. But it was too late now. In less than a week, everything would come to a head, and there would be no turning back. The Tech Innovation Summit buzzed with excitement. I stood at the back of the packed auditorium, watching Derek take the stage with Apex's CEO. Quinton appeared at my side, tablet in hand. "Global Systems lawyers are in position," he whispered. They're waiting for the product demonstration to file the injunction. I nodded, my stomach churning as Derek grabbed the microphone. Today, we're not just launching a product, he announced, beaming with pride. We're revolutionizing artificial intelligence as we know it. The crowd applauded. In the front row, I spotted Michael, leaning forward eagerly. Robin sat beside him, shooting worried glances in my direction. Our proprietary processing algorithm, Derek continued, represents a breakthrough in AI technology, something that's never been done before. My phone vibrated. A message from Stephanie. Global's legal team is reviewing the live stream. Ready when you are. Watch this demonstration. Derek pressed a button, and screens around the auditorium lit up with Apex's interface. Our AI can process complex datasets in milliseconds using our innovative. The rest of his words faded as I noticed something odd. The processing method they were showing wasn't the one from their patent applications. This was different. My heart rate quickened as I frantically scrolled through the documents on my phone. Quinton, I hissed. Are you seeing this? He was already typing furiously. They changed it. The whole system is different. This isn't infringing on anything, I finished, a cold realization washing over me. They must have found the issues and fixed them. The demonstration continued as I fired off messages to Stephanie and Global's legal team. The response came back quickly. The new system appears to be legally clear. My carefully laid trap had just evaporated. Derek's voice cut through my panic. And we have someone special to thank for this last-minute improvement. He smiled directly at me in the back of the room. My sister-in-law Yasmin, whose thorough legal concerns helped us refine our approach. The audience turned to look at me. Robin's eyes widened in surprise. Come on up here, Yasmin, Derek called out. Don't be shy. Show everyone how your paper pushing actually helped us create something better. My legs moved automatically, carrying me to the stage. Derek's smile was different now. Not mocking, but something else I couldn't quite read. Thanks to Yasmin's eagle eye, he continued as I reached the podium, we discovered some potential issues with our original design. Let's call it intense interest in our patents, forced us to innovate even further. The audience applauded. I stood there, frozen, as Derek turned to me. Would you like to explain to everyone how your legal expertise helped shape this breakthrough? He asked, holding out the microphone. In that moment, I saw what he'd done. He'd known. Somehow, he'd known what I was planning and had used it to make Apex's technology even stronger. My revenge had backfired spectacularly. I was jealous, I guess. You've always been so perfect. Every case, every argument, every detail exactly right. I wanted to prove you could miss something important. And instead, I proved that paying attention to details matters more than I thought. He managed a small smile. The irony isn't lost on me. A knock at the door interrupted us. Robin peeked in. Everything okay in here? Getting there, I said, surprised to find I meant it. We're working on it. Together. Robin looked between us, hope crossing his face. Yeah. Derek stood up, offering his hand to me. If my sister-in-law is willing to help after everything I've done. I took his hand, feeling the weight of my real wedding ring against my fingers. That's what family does, right? We help each other, even when it's complicated. Even when one of us has been a complete jerk, Derek added. Especially then. I turned back to my laptop. Now, let's figure out how to save your company without breaking any more patents. As we dove back into work, I realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's being exactly who you are, doing exactly what you're good at, until even your critics can't deny your value. The Seattle Startups LLC team filled one side of the conference room, their expressions stern and unyielding. Derek sat beside me, fidgeting with his tie as we waited for the negotiations to begin. Remember, I whispered, let me handle the talking. Like I have a choice. His attempted humor couldn't mask his nervousness. My company's future depends on my sister-in-law's paper-pushing skills. Funny how that works out, isn't it? The lead attorney from Seattle cleared his throat. Shall we begin? We have clear evidence that Apex's technology infringes on our client's patent. I open my folder calmly. Before we discuss infringement, I'd like to present a different perspective. I slid copies of my prepared documents across the table. As you can see, while there are similarities in the base processing method, Apex's implementation includes several unique innovations. Innovations built on stolen intellectual property, their lawyer countered. Actually, I pulled up a presentation on the screen. If you look at the development timeline, you'll see both companies arrived at similar solutions independently. The question isn't who owns the idea but how we can move forward in a way that benefits both parties. Derek leaned forward, finally speaking up. We're willing to discuss licensing terms. The other side exchanged glances. This was the opening we needed. For the next 3 hours we negotiated. I watched Derek's face as he gradually understood the intricacies of what he'd once dismissed as mere paperwork. Every clause, every term, every carefully worded agreement could make or break his company's future. What if, I proposed during a crucial moment, we consider a collaborative approach? Apex's innovations combined with your client's foundational technology could advance the field significantly. Instead of fighting over patents, we could be discussing a partnership. The Seattle team called for a break to consult with their clients. In the hallway, Derek grabbed my arm. A partnership. Is that really our best option? Trust me, I said. Sometimes winning means finding a solution where everyone benefits. He studied my face. Like you did with me. Using my mistake to make the company stronger. Exactly. Sometimes the best legal strategy isn't about destroying the opposition. It's about building something better together. The other team returned with their client on video conference. The next hour was an intense negotiation over terms, percentages, and implementation details. I felt Derek's tension beside me as we worked through each point. Finally, their lead attorney sat back. We accept the partnership proposal with the terms as discussed. Our client believes this could indeed benefit both companies. Relief flooded Derek's face, but I wasn't done. One more thing. I pulled out a final document. A public acknowledgement of both companies' contributions to the technology. Full transparency about the collaboration. Trying to keep us honest? Their lawyer asked with a slight smile. Trying to build trust, I corrected. It's better for everyone if we start this partnership with complete clarity. As they reviewed the document, Derek whispered, just like you did with the ring, bringing everything into the light. Sometimes that's the only way forward. The aroma of Sarah's lasagna filled the dining room as our family gathered for Sunday dinner. This time something felt different. The usual tension had been replaced by warmth. So, Sarah set down the dish. I hear the partnership is going well. Derek nodded enthusiastically. The Seattle team's technology combined with ours. We're seeing results we never imagined possible. All thanks to our favorite paper pusher. Robin squeezed my hand under the table. Actually, Derek cleared his throat. That's why I wanted everyone here tonight. We have an announcement. I paused, fork halfway to my mouth. Derek stood up, pulling out a folder. One of mine, I realized with surprise. Yasmin. He turned to me. Apex would like to offer you a position as our chief legal officer. Full partnership stake. The room went silent. I set down my fork carefully. You want me to join Apex? We need you, Derek said simply. The Seattle partnership showed me that having strong legal guidance isn't just about avoiding problems. It's about creating opportunities. What about my firm? I asked, though I could feel excitement building. Keep it, he replied. We'd be your primary client, but you've built something valuable there. I wouldn't ask you to give that up. Robin was beaming beside me. You knew about this. Derek asked my opinion last week, he admitted. I told him it was about time he recognized your value. There's more. Derek pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a ring identical to my wedding ring. I don't understand, I said. It's a backup, Derek explained, looking embarrassed. In case anything ever happens to your real one. No more swaps, no more tricks, just insurance. Because that's what good legal planning is about, right? Protecting what matters. I felt tears threatening. You actually learned something from all this. I learned a lot, he admitted. About respect, about family, about how success isn't just about big ideas. It's about the details that make those ideas work. Sarah raised her glass. To new partnerships. Wait. I held up my hand. Before we toast, I need to know something. Why now? Why this position? Derek looked at Robin, then back at me. Remember what you said in the conference room? About building something better together. It made me realize, that's what family should be about too. Not competition. Not proving who's better. But combining our strengths. Even if one of those strengths is being obsessively detail-oriented. Smiled. Especially that. Later, as Robin and I drove home, he asked, happy with how things turned out? I touched my wedding ring, thinking about karma, consequences, and how revenge had transformed into redemption. You know what? It's not the victory I planned for, but maybe it's the one we all needed. Better than revenge. Much better.